Dhamma Dhamma Jinati. The gift of Dhamma excels all other gifts. Good evening and a very warm welcome to Beyond the Vision, brought to you by the Buddhist Channel. And as usual, we bring you the essence of Lord Buddha's teachings with another new topic coming up for this week. And before anything, I would like to welcome, and my most veneration goes to Dr. Mirisse Dhammika Thero and Professor Oliver Abenayaka, who is here with us today. Very good evening to you, sir. So talking about the topic for today. Well, have you ever thought whether you're aware when you do certain activities, certain tasks, when you perform all these tasks in your day-to-day activities? Because for a day we do have a to-do list, isn't it? But do we think and do we perform our actions by being aware of what we are doing? So that's the question that's put on for you all for the day, and we will be discussing on what right mindfulness is and how we can achieve this right mindfulness in our day-to-day activities. So in the very first place, I think, Professor Oliver, we need to take a look at what right mindfulness is. So I think we should pose the question to our Venerable Sir. Please tell us what right mindfulness is. What is Samma Sati, Venerable Sir?
Professor Oliver Abenayaka and Dr. Buddhima. First of all, I would like to wish everyone to be well, happy and peaceful by the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Sati, the Buddha has used in many places in sutras. Also, the Buddha has used, there are some terms which are related to Sati. I would like to name them as Sati, Yoniso Manasikara, Anupassana, Sati Sampajanya, Sampajanakari, so on. What is Sati? Sati means mindfulness, simply mindfulness. You have to follow mindfulness all the time. Whatever the thoughts you express, be mindful. That means you have to be mindful with your own thoughts. That means you are not going to violate humanity. You are not going to violate any rules. That means you can maintain your connectedness or your relationships with your family members. And being in this society, you can be a good citizen into this world. So, Sati means mindfulness or alertness or awareness. All the time you have to be mindful. In other words, I would like to say, live now. That means living at the present moment. This is what the Buddha explained as Yoniso Manasikara. You know, Dr. Buddhima, simply we are able to say, children, you have to be mindful all the time. You know, where you are, you have to be mindful. You are in front of your parents, and then you are supposed to, behave well. You have to respect them. At the same time, dear child, you are in a monastery. You are in a temple. When you come to the temple, you have to be mindful. That means how to behave, how to talk, how to think even, because I am in the temple. Being in the temple, I have to be a upasaka or upasika. That means I already took refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. That means I'm so mindful. So that's why, Dr. Buddhima, when we address our dear children, even in Dhamma schools and even in regular schools, we used to ask them, wherever you go, all the time you have to be mindful. Maybe being at home, you have to be mindful. At the same time, when you go to a playground, of course you are supposed to play. When you come to the temple, you are not supposed to use a temple as a playground. Right? When you go to a school, you have to listen to your teacher and work harder to learn. Simply this is what mindfulness is. At the same time, when we talk to our parents or adults, so on, just be mindful. Taking my own examples, as a monk, Dr. Buddhima, all the time, I have to be mindful. I am a monk. Wherever I walk, I have to be mindful. I am a monk. What I am doing, what I am talking about, what kind of thoughts I am expressing. Being a monk, I have to act all the time. That means I am not going to, violate my own, monk's lifestyle. People are looking at us. He's a monk. He is supposed to behave as a monk. So I have to be mindful. At the same time, being a mother or father, you have to be mindful. Otherwise, you may abuse your motherhood or fatherhood. Sorry to say, there are so many incidents which are happening all around the world. Parents are forgetting, their motherhood or fatherhood. They can't remember what they are doing. So that's why be mindful. Be mindful. You are a mother. You are a father. When we talk about Buddhism, according to the Buddha's noble teachings, of course you are not enlightened person, but still, as a mother or father, you are like a Buddha. You are like a Buddha. When you are mindful all the time, you may lose your qualities or virtues. That means, mindfulness, sati simply. At the same time, when we talk about Dr. Buddhima, yoniso manasikara, living at the present moment, living at the present moment with your thoughts, with your speech, with your own action. For instance, there are so many cases we see, Dr. Buddhima, some people are, they are acting like, not human, sorry to say, but they are forgetting who they are. They are losing their own qualities and virtues. So that's why everybody has to, has to be virtuous people. That means living at the present moment, yoniso manasikara. When we associate with lots of people in this society, we have to associate with different people. And then we have to be mindful. When I talk to a teacher, I have to respect him or her. I have to respect my teacher. At the same time, when I talk to my mother, I have to talk to my mother mindfully. I'm not supposed to abuse, having kind of, abusive words. And then the Buddha used term, Dr. Buddhima, anupassana. You are supposed to look back. You are supposed to look back. What I have done? What I have done? What did I do? All the time, you have to be mindful being in the past. That means you are not going to attach to the past, but you have to have kind of lessons from the past. That means you may have kind of, capacity to correct yourself. If you have done something wrong, of course you have to be aware of your own mind, what I have done in the past. What did I do yesterday? I know. Now I understand I have done something wrong. Hereafter, I'm not going to violate again. I'm not going to repeat, right? And that means looking back, and then taking some lessons or examples. I'm going to promise myself I'm not going to repeat that kind of, fault. Anupassana, right?
Certainly, yes, Venerable Sir. Actually, as Venerable Sir mentioned, Samma Sati or right mindfulness is living in the present state, as Venerable Sir mentioned, as Yoniso Manasikara, and at the same time we should look into what we have done and learn the lessons from the activities that we have performed in the past and live in the present world, so that being aware of what we are doing is very much important. And Professor Oliver, so actually when we talk about Samma Sati or right mindfulness, it's the seventh fold in the Noble Eightfold Path. So I think we should look into as to why it takes this significant place in the seventh fold. It's not according to importance being the seventh important one, but it's a path after all. That's why we are taking the seventh step as the right mindfulness. So if you mind tell us what's significant about it.
Venerable Sir, this Samma Sati It's a technical term in Buddhism.
Yes.
There are various other terms which are closely related to this, but Samma Sati is a technical term. All the 8 terms which are used in the Noble Eightfold Path are technical. So that is because Buddha has defined it. These terms have been defined in various discourses. For example, in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, all these terms are defined. Because this Noble Eightfold Path comes under Dhammanupassana in the Samadhiti Sutta. Mahasatipatthana Sutta. We'll pay our attention to that later. And in the Satyavibhanga Sutta also it is technically defined.
Yes.
We know what Samma Sati is. Now, to answer your question, what I should say is that all these 8 path factors are interrelated. We can't isolate any of these things. This is specifically said in the Mahachattārisaka Sutta of the Samadhiti. I think we might have discussed this earlier also. In that particular discourse, the Buddha asks the factors that would help to the last one, that is Samma Samadhi. Then the Buddha himself says that all the previous path factors from Samadhiti to Samma Sati help to fulfill the 8th one, that is Samma Samadhi. These are interrelated in one way. You can't separate one from the other. So that connection is there. That relationship is there. The other thing is, as we know, the Noble Eightfold Path is divided into 3 as Sila, Samadhi and Prajna. Sila has, I think we have discussed this earlier.
We have discussed the Sila aspect.
That there are 3 aspects of Sila when the path is taken into consideration. There are 3 in the Samadhi. So we are in the Samadhi aspect. In the Samadhi aspect, there are 3 factors, that is Samma Vayama. You might have discussed that earlier. Today is Samma Sati.
Yes.
And Samma Sati is not possible if Samma Vayama is not there. Right effort is not there, right mindfulness does not come. Because they are interrelated. One gives rise to the other. And then without Samma Sati, the Samma Samadhi is not possible. Because Samma Sati, that is right mindfulness, gives rise to right concentration. All these are interrelated. We cannot take one singly and discuss. That is what the significance of Samma Sati as the 7th path factor.
Yes, sir. And in fact, we were talking about the Sattara Satipatthana Sutta, as you mentioned. So I think we should go into details of it to discuss on the contemplation of the body, the contemplation of the feelings, the state of mind, and also the contemplation of phenomena. So I would like to first ask Venerable Sir to elaborate on what contemplation of body means, Kayanupassana means.
Yes, in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the Buddha explained as establishments of 4 types of mindfulness. According to that, under Kayanupassana, mindfulness on action. Kaye Kayanupassi viharati atapi sampajano satima vineya loke abijja domanassang. Or because all the time you have to be mindful with your own bodily action. With your bodily action. With your body and its action. You have to be mindful all the time. Though Buddha is addressing monks, but it's, relate to lay people as well. The Buddha asked, when your bodily action, you have to be mindful with your bodily action all the time. Kaye kayanupassi viharati atapi sampajana. You have to be mindful with your body and its action. Why? Atapi sampajano. Atapi, to reduce attachment. Right? To reduce attachment. That means attachment towards, the pancha upadana khanda, the 5 types of, aggregates, right? That means we may call a person and then other things as well. So, when you associate with other people, that means Pancha Upadana Khanda, you have to be mindful. You are not supposed to violate any kind of rules. But firstly, you have to be mindful with your body and its action. Right? Daughter Buddhima, we can't live alone in this world. We have to associate with our parents and brothers and sisters, so on and so forth. Therefore, first thing is you have to be mindful with your own body and its action. So that's why the Buddha asked, Ajjatta Bahiddhava Kaya Kayanupassī Viharati. First thing is you have to be mindful with your own. And then later on, just you have to have example with your, family members or others, so on, right? And why Atapi? To reduce kind of attachments and defilements, so on. Sampajano, Atapi Sampajano, Satima Vineya. Satima, be mindful. Be a person who is mindful all the time. Vineya Loke Abhijja Domanasan. If you want to, cut it off, all kind of, lamentations and sorrows and pains, you have to be mindful. You have to be mindful with your body and its action first. Later on, you have to be mindful with your associators or with your other people, right? And then the Buddha suggests like this: be mindful on your own breath first, according to Kayanupassana. Be mindful on your own breath. First thing is just you have to sit under a tree or on a cushion or whatever. Anyway, and then set up your body. Pari ujung kayang panidaya. It's very essential, Daughter Buddhima. You have to have a state. You have to set up your body. First thing is, it's easy to breathe in and out. Ujung kayam panidaya parimukan sating upattapetta. Parimukha means around your mouth, right? Or at the nose tip, or just on the upper lip, right? Around your mouth. Parimukan sating upattapetta. So satova assasati, satova passasati. Just be mindful with your normal breath, right? And then you may feel, I am breathing out, I am breathing in, I am breathing out. Of course, it's a simple thing. People would think, oh, it's a kind of, breathing exercise. Of course, it's not, right? So why the Buddha asked us to be mindful with your own, breath. It's easy to concentrate on any kind of object, right? Rather than just asking for other objects, right? And then when you are going to focus on your normal breath, and then you are just blocking all kind of other doors. That means you are blocking your the eye. You are blocking your ears, nose, tongue, body. And the only thing is just you are focusing on your normal breath. That means you are just avoiding other feelings which are coming from outside. Completely you are going to concentrate on your normal breath. That means your mind is going to be purified. Your mind is going to be purified. When you follow our bodily posture, you may have kind of, hard time with your body. That means you may have pains and kind of things in your knees and things. At that time, sometimes we are going to release our pains through our nose. That means you are going to have a long breath, breathe in and out. At that time, when you have a long breath, the Buddha asked, Digam va asvasanto digam asvasamiti pajanati, digam va pasvasanto digam pasvasamiti pajanati. When you have a long breath, if you are mindful, I am having a long breath. I am having a long breath. I am breathing long. I am breathing out, which is long. And then you may feel it. You are totally mindful with that. After that, when you have a short breath, again you are going to be mindful with your short breath. I am having a short breath. I am breathing out. It's short. And then again, Passambayang kaya sankarang asasissamiti sikkati. Sabbakaya patisangvedi asasissamiti sikkati. Sabbakaya patisangvedi pasasissamiti sikkati. Daughter Buddhima, when I have a long breath, I have to focus on the start point. In the middle, also at the end, I have to be mindful completely. Now I have feel, I already started to breathe in. It's coming up. It's already came, right? When I, when I am going to, breathe out, it's coming down. It's coming down. It's already gone. I'm going to be mindful with my, my breath. It's completely. I'm going to focus on that. But finally, I have to breathe in. Being, completely mindful with my own breath. That means I feel so calmness within myself. When I breathe out, I feel my whole body is completely so serene and calm. By doing that, and the Buddha asks us to be mindful all the time with your normal breath. It's simply, that's what the Buddha explained under Kaya-anupassana. There are so many factors under Kaya-anupassana. If you are going to ask me later on, we will discuss about that.
Certainly, yes, Venerable Sir. So that was how, what actually Kaya-anupassana is and how we can contemplate on the body, as Venerable Sir mentioned. And we need to go into the next step, which is the contemplation of feeling, or rather Vedana-anupassana. So if Professor Oliver can give us an explanation.
Yes. As the Venerable said, the Kaya-anupassana, that is contemplation of body, is described by the Buddha in detail. He has, I think, described only one aspect of it. There are various other aspects we don't have time to discuss in that way, yes, in this program. Now, when we come to the second one, that is the Vedana-anupassana, contemplation of feeling. In the discourses, this is the shortest anupassana. When we take, there are two discourses on Satipatthana. One is in the Digha Nikaya, the other is in the Majjhima Nikaya. Majjhima Nikaya has also Satipatthana. In that also, this Vedana-anupassana, contemplation on feeling, is described in short. Other three are explaining details. Therefore, Buddhima, this Vedana, feeling, is threefold, as you know. That is Sukha Vedana, Dukkha Vedana, and Adukkha Sukha Vedana. That is Upeka Vedana. Sukha Vedana is feeling of happiness. Dukkha Vedana is feeling of sorrow or something like that. There are various aspects of pain that we experience. That is Dukkha Vedana. Adukkha Sukha Vedana is indifferent feeling where there is no happiness or pain. That is Adukkha. Yeah. Even though the Vedana-anupassana, that is contemplation of feeling, is described in short in the discourses, it is very important when we take the path that Buddha has mentioned for us to realize the Four Noble Truths. Because Vedana is very important. Vedana is, as we know, in the five aggregates also, Vedana is one of them. That is Rupa. Second one is Vedana. Vedana is there. The Vedana constitutes the individual. Without Vedana, there is no individual. It is a compulsory part of the individual. Now, how Vedana contributes to understand the objects that we see, and finally how it leads to the realization of Four Noble Truths, is taken into consideration in the Madhupindika Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya. So, it is a long process of understanding objects. That is called sense perception. It is a process. In the process of sense perception, how Vedana becomes important is described in the Madhupindika Sutta. Now, shall we take the example of Nirodha Samapatti, that is called the attainment of cessation, Nirodha Samapatti. There is a long term for that, that is Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. When one attains that particular Samapatti, Sanya disappears, Vedana also disappears. That is why it is called Sanya Vedita Nirodha. So, when Sanya and Vedana are not there, the person becomes nearly a dead body. That is how it is said in the discourse. So, when one is in the Nirodha Samapatti, one cannot understand anything. Therefore, Buddha says, get up from the Nirodha Samapatti, get up from the state where there is no feeling, and then think of the realization of Four Noble Truths. There are two people who can attain the Nirodha Samapatti. One is the person who is called a non-returner, Anagami. The other is the Arahant. When Anagami attains the Nirodha Samapatti, he has to get up from it to understand the Four Noble Truths, because Vedana is not operative in Nirodha Samapatti. Now, this Sukha, Dukkha and Adukkha Sukha, that is happiness, pain and indifferent feeling, are very important for us to understand the outside world. Not only the outside world, for us to understand ourselves also.
Yes.
Without Vedana, this is how we react to the external world. So when in the Madhubindika Sutta it is said that when three things come together, you get the feeling. So this is why, even though it is explained in short, the importance is taken into consideration in the discourses.
Certainly, yes, sir. Actually, that was an explanation on what Vedananupassana is, and in fact taking the aspect of it in the Nirodha Samapatti as well. So, going into details of the contemplation of the state of mind this time, Venerable sir. Chittanupassana, if you mind tell us what Chittanupassana is.
Chittanupassana means contemplation on our mind. There are 16 types of concentration on our mind, Dr. Buddhima, but I would like to explain just a few things. So the first 3 points, Raga Dosa Moha. If I feel kind of lustful thoughts, I have to be mindful. I am having kind of lustful thoughts or attachment towards something. That means being aware of your own mind, the state of your mind, which is full of lust, and then you have to think about your own. According to first 2 things, Anupassana and Vedananupassana, now you have to compare with your own mind. The Buddha explained very clearly, end of this all kind of sections or factions, Attikayotiva panassa sati pachupattita hoti yava deva jnanamatta patisati mattaya anissitocha viharati natakinchi loke upadiyati so. Though I am holding this body by calling myself, but which is not mine, it's not mine. According to the Natumma Sutra in Sanyutta Nikaya, again the Buddha explained, Nayam bhikkave kayo tumha kannapyanyesa, which is not body, which is not belongs to you. O monks, this body is not belongs to you. And then to whom this body belongs to? No one. You know, sometimes Dr. Buddhima people say, you are in my life. Even between parents and children, just a good example, between parents and children, you are in my life. I love you so much, people used to say. According to this, this sutras, Nayam bhikkave kayo tummakan, this body is not belongs to you. No one else to belong. Right? And then, according to that explanations, again, though I am holding this body by calling, this is my body, but you have to be mindful with a real explanation of, the Paramatta Satya, the absolute truth, with absolute truth. But that, conventionally, though I am calling this is my body, absolutely, this is not my body. So, we are not supposed to take things as permanent entity, or which is permanent. And then, when I feel kind of thoughts which is lustful, and then I have to think about that. Why? Why I am going to attach to? Why? Even my eye is not belongs to me. Even my eye, my nose, tongue, body, so on. And then how come I am going to attach to that? Those things I got through my eyes and ears. If it is not belongs to me, even my eyes, how come I am going to take my own, even those kind of, visual things, visual forms. By thinking this way, if I feel kind of lustful thoughts towards something, slowly I have to concentrate on anicca. Anicca means impermanency. Even my eyes are not belongs to me. And then how come I'm going to have kind of attachment towards those things, visual forms? And then we are going to reduce slowly my very strong feelings of, attachment. At the same time, when I have kind of anger or ill will, kind of thoughts, those are negative feelings, right? Again, I have to be mindful with my own anger. Can I ask a question, Dr. Buddhima? Are you going to say, in next 10 minutes, I'm going to get angry. In next 10 minutes, I'm going to get angry. Now 9 minutes, now 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Already I got angry. Are you going to say?
No.
Of course not. You are not going to say.
Yes.
People used to say, I got angry. Or I am angry. That means already there. Anger is there in your mind. So, that means if you are mindful before getting before getting it into your mind, of course you are able to at least suppress or, control, and then finally you can reduce and then completely cut it off. You are able to. So that's why you have to be mindful with your own mind. If you feel kind of angry feelings, and then you are mindful. Anger is there. Anger is within. So therefore, being mindful, now you are going to think about the result of my anger, and then you are going to, reduce that. At the same time, you are not angry person at this moment, and then you are so happy because your mind is so pure, and then continue, follow your mind or your own, and then you can continue your aramana, your instructions according to the Buddhist meditation. If you feel kind of illusions or delusions, for example, sometimes, after some loved ones, died, someone's dead, people can't make their mind. They know they have gone, they never come, but still people used to say, I don't know why, I can't make my mind. I know they never come, but I can make my mind. I feel lots of, sorrows, pains and in my mind, that kind of illusions and delusions. So that's why the Buddha said, sabbe sankhara necchati, transient are all component things. So that's why we have to be mindful even, with our death. That means we are not going to invite anyone to cry by thinking this way. I mean, by thinking about your own death. But still, you have to be mindful. And then, before dying, before coming to our last moment in our life, only thing is we are supposed to fulfill our duties towards each one. Within our own family. As a child, I had to do my own duties towards my parents. As parents, they have to fulfill their duties towards their parents. Even between wife and husband, brothers and sisters, so on and so forth. We have to fulfill. That means we are mindful. We are mindful with our own thoughts. That means if you have kind of feelings, and then conventionally I am going to call this is my body, this is my life, this is my father, mother, brother, sister, wife, husband, so on. But absolutely no. One day we have to leave each other. Even this moment, even tonight, who knows? Who knows? We have lots of experiences with tsunami. Can you remember?
Yes,
yes. Everybody got lots of experiences with tsunami. So even tonight, we may leave this world. Keeping everything here, we have to leave this world. That means we don't want to use anything by thinking as permanent. Otherwise, if you are going to take everything as permanent, without that or without that person, I can't survive. So somehow I'm going to take it. I'm going to please my senses. Dr. Buddhima. So that's I say, Professor, today, even all around Sri Lanka, how many, violations are happening. It's an incident, right? There are lots of incidents are happening all over the world, even in Sri Lanka. Because people think when they have kind of feelings, it's so strong, without that kind of things, I can't survive. Somehow I have to please my eyes, ears, nose, tongue and body. So it's a delusion. It's an illusion. So that's why from the beginning of our life, we have to have a start point at Dhamma school, even in our childhood. And then we have to teach our children slowly with that kind of stanza. Can you remember the offering flowers in front of the Buddha statue? Pujemi Buddhang Kusumene. And then just we are supposed to learn. We are supposed to teach even our children, right? And that means just we can, avoid that kind of illusions and delusions.
Certainly, yes,
on the state of mind.
Certainly, yes, Venerable Sir, and that's very much important because we should start teaching these concepts to the small kids in the very first place. That is how we can really make this society a very virtuous society. And in fact, when fire ranges and becomes destructive, we do have certain things ready, such as water or sand, maybe to put on to take out the fire. But do we think that this anger and delusion, hatred, and this kind of unwholesome feelings and unwholesome consciousness that arise in us, we don't take any actions to maybe suppress them or eradicate them. So it's our duty to practice right mindfulness and being aware of what we are doing, so that we can definitely make ourselves be more determined and be more courageous in traveling through this eternal path nirvana. And in fact, talking about the contemplation of phenomena this time, Professor. So, Dhammanupassana. So, if you mind elaborate on this aspect of it.
Dhammanupassana comes under Chittanupassana.
Yes.
As Venerable explained, Chittanupassana explains what the mind has. There are various aspects. I think he has taken only some of them. Now, the next one, even though it is called Dhammanupassana, and even if you have translated it as contemplation on phenomena, what is taken into consideration under Dhammanupassana is mind objects.
Yes.
In fact, what the mind knows. Now, there is a long description of Dhammanupassana in the Satipatthana discourses. Before that, let me tell you something about this word Anupassana. Venerable Sir also explained what Anupassana is. These are called Anupassana.
Yes.
These have nothing to do with Samadhi, because we haven't come to Samadhi yet. Samadhi comes after Anupassana. Anupassana is not concentration. Anupassana is you see things as they are. Look at the things as they are. Now, when we take the example from the Chittanupassana, when the Chitta has, the mind has some sort of feeling towards attachment, you think that you have that feeling. So you look as it is. Accordingly, what Dhammanupassana says is, look at the things that mind has. The Buddha has, I think, listed what the mind has. Now, mind can see the five aggregates, because that is how the individual is constituted. Five aggregates, everybody knows what five aggregates are.
Yes.
Then individual can be seen as elements. Then ayatanas, faculties. There are 12 faculties. And the individual is divided into various, analyzed into various aspects through the mind. That is what Dhammanupassana is. Very specifically, Buddhima, what mind has inside is called Nivarana. So the Nivaranas are also given under Dhammanupassana. That is also very important. That is because if you don't see that you have these five Nivaranas, what is the list?
The hindrances.
Hindrances.
Yes.
If you don't see that you have hindrances in your mind, you can't go to concentration.
Yes.
That is what the path in the discourses say. Take out Nivarana, then you can think of the dhyanas.
Yes.
So as long as Nivaranas are there, you can't go to dhyana. So under Dhammanupassana, Buddha advises us, see that you have Nivarana. So you see hindrances in your mind. Now, what is important in the description of the Dhammanupassana is these Four Noble Truths are also given in the Dhammanupassana. In addition to the Four Noble Truths, even though it is one of the truths, the path is explained in detail. Each factor is taken one by one and explained and defined under Chittanupassana. As we might have discussed at the very beginning of this series of discussion, now, if the path is even for the lay people, ordinary people, Putujjanas, the question may arise how he sees the Four Noble Truths in his mind. He can't see the Four Noble Truths in his mind. He can't see how the path factors operate in his mind. That is why in the Mahachattarajaka Sutta, the Buddha says that path is twofold.
Yes.
It is for the lay people, the Putujjanas, and it is for the non-Putujjanas also, Arahants also. Anasava Punyabhagya. Upadi, not the people who do not have Upadi. So I think only the people who have gone a little bit far in the path can see the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path under Dhammanupassana. The entire, I think, essence of Buddhism is taken into consideration under Dhammanupassana. So, when this is the Venerable Sir, the good English word for Anupassana is study. You study what you have in your mind. When you study, you know what to do next. So, have a good study of the situation of the mind, what the mind has, and then you go to concentrate. Under Anupassana, there is no concentration.
I think observe accordingly. Observe accordingly.
Yeah.
Yes, the Anupassana, Kaya Anupassana, just think about your body accordingly. What's happening with your own body.
At this moment.
At this moment.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, at this moment.
Yeah.
Oh, Buddhima, just I would like to add something
Yes.
to my first part of speech. Under contemplation on bodily action, Kaya Anupassana, just I have to take a few minutes to talk about contemplation on bodily postures.
Yes.
It's very important. Iriyapata Bhavana, Iriyapata Pab, according to the Mahasatipatthana Sutra. Gaccantova Gacchamiti Pajanati. When you walk, you have to be mindful, I am walking. I am walking. Right? Titova Titom Hiti Pajanati. When you stand up, you have to be mindful, I am standing. I am standing. Nisinnova Nisinnom Hiti Pajanati. When you sit down, you have to be mindful, I am sitting. I am sitting. Sayanova Sayannom Hiti Pajanati. When you sleep, you have to be mindful, I am sleeping, I am lying down, I am lying down. You know, Dr. Buddhima, why today we needed that kind of things? People don't know how to behave even. When people come to the temple, they don't know how to behave and how to talk. You know, sometimes they don't know what they are, doing, being this moment. So that's why, if we can practice these kind of teachings seriously, though you are having, thousands, maybe millions of work on your head, as you explained, right? Sometimes in this hectic society, people used to say, lots of, workload on my head. By calling this way, they are violating rules and things. So that's why, when you walk, just be mindful. I'm walking. When you sit, I'm sitting. When you stand, I'm standing. Wherever you are going to stand up, you know who I am, what I'm going to do. It's very essential. It's very important in this hectic society. Otherwise, people are going to forget themselves and then violating rules, and it's a very harmful to this society, daughter.
Let me also add something to what Venerable has, because what he said is quite important, and I think there are people who have misunderstood concentration or meditation as Sati Sampajanya.
Yeah.
That's a word called Sati Sampajanya.
Yes, sir.
You know well what Sati is. That is Sati Sampajanya. This Sati Sampajanya is also given under Kayanupassana.
Yeah.
After the Iriyapata Pabbha, Buddha goes to Sati Sampajanya.
Sati
Sampajanya is very important. That is because you have 4 main postures. In addition to that, you have various other simple postures. You eat, you do various other things. In all these actions, you have to be mindful.
Even when you use a bathroom, restroom, you have to be mindful.
Otherwise you mess. Yes. Yeah. So all the bodily actions are taken into consideration under Sati Sampajanya. Yes. Sati Sampajanya is not concentration, meditation. No, it is something that prepares you for meditation, Venerable Sir, which is given under Kayanupassana.
Yes. Yes, sir, that's very much important. And in fact, it might be assumed, as you mentioned now, people might assume saying that we do have right mindfulness and we are doing our tasks with right mindfulness, but it's actually a mirage. It's not so in most of the cases. So we need to look into this. This is very much important. And in fact, finally, before we wind up, I would like to ask you, Venerable Sir, if you might tell us, what are the benefits that a person can gain by practicing right mindfulness, and how this path actually really opens up to a person who needs to achieve this highest bliss nirvana by practicing right mindfulness?
It's a very good question, Dr. Buddhima. As a monk, I need complete mindfulness. I have to be mindful as a monk all the time. Wherever I walk, whatever I do, whatever thoughts I'm going to express through my mouth, all the time I have to be mindful. We are needed. As a mother, you have to be mindful. I'm a mother. Of course, you are not an enlightened person right now, but you have to work towards that. But at this moment, as a mother, you have to act like that. Buddho Yamata, as I explained, like that. As a father, you are not supposed to, break any kind of, at least one by one, you have to complete 5 precepts accordingly. Dr. Buddhima, today there's a big problem around this world. Even in Sri Lanka, people are violating 3rd precepts. It's a breaking families. The children are, going around.
And interrupting you, Venerable, actually, all these conflicts happen in the society.
Because they are losing mindfulness.
Certainly, yes.
Whoever, position you are going to hold, be mindful. Even, Professor, some people used to use this word, mindfulness in business. Right? Mindfulness in, society. Mindfulness in art. Mindfulness in even cooking. It's the art of cooking, art of living. These are kind of things. That means being mindful all the time. Who I am, what I'm going to do, what would be my result, my action. That means mindfulness. Being mindful, you can be a happy person, happiest person in this world.
Certainly, yes, Venerable Sir. So what we need to say is, do not miss this great opportunity, being born as a human being. So we have the key with us. So it's our responsibility to take up this wonderful path that Lord Buddha has shown us. And definitely, it is assured that we can definitely attain the eternal bliss nirvana, as Venerable Sir mentioned. And my most veneration goes to Dr. Mirisse Dhammika Thero and Professor Oliver Benayaka. Thank you very much for coming in today. And in fact, reminding you our email address, it's beyondthevision.tv@gmail.com. You can send in your queries to us. You can definitely send in your suggestions to us, and we will be taking them in our future discussions. And Sabbe Satta Bhavantu Sukhitatta. May all beings be well and happy.